The word diet is such a restricting word. I actually really hate it. And 20 years ago, when I decided that I was going to start my health and fitness journey, it was a word that I got rid of in my vocabulary. I wasn't going to diet. I was going to work out, lose the weight, and found out that that was a key component. And I decided to research nutrition and found out that you didn't have to diet. You just had to portion. And it was a slow process. It is a slow and learning process, just like losing your weight, gaining your weight. It's a learning curve. So when 20 years ago, when I was started all this, we didn't have apps, we didn't have smartphones. Some people had computers. I was not one of the lucky ones until probably about 6 months after I got into my health and fitness journey that I got a computer. So I had to do mine and figure out all my stuff the good old fashioned way with pen, paper, and a calculator. So if you're going to lose weight, you have to actually figure out your calories. And believe it or not, when I figured out my calories, I refused to restrict myself. Like, I was not going to be hungry, and if I was hungry at all, I was upping my calories. It's just that I love food. It's just something, me, that I love food. And I just learned how to eat. So it was a slow process. So basically, I figured out my calories. My calorie range was 1,700 calories. I'm 5'2", and at the time I was, I think, 180 pounds. So I was eating about 1,700 calories, which is not restricting at all, and I refused to go under 1,500 calories. But I had hit a weight loss plateau, and I still refused to cut my calories. I knew there was something that I could be doing to change, whether it be with my workouts or whether it be with my nutrition. And I started talking to, at the time I was working at a restaurant, and there was a girl that I worked with who was into the gym. She had competed in some shows. She was an older woman. She was in her 50s, and she had a body that you could die for at 50 years old. So I started talking to her about what she ate. And it all came down to, I was eating enough calories, but I was eating still too many carbohydrates, and my macronutrients were all off. So I started getting into that, figuring out my macros. And believe it or not, it took me, when I meal prepped and planned, I would take all day Sunday between meal prepping, planning, and going to the grocery store. It took me all day on a Sunday. I would literally, for 3 hours, have to figure out all my macros for 7 days. And that's what I did. And when I did that, I was never, ever hungry. And I got into the best shape of my life. I veered off of that for a while, and I don't know why. I did that for years and years and years, and I veered off of it for a while, and I gained some weight back. Not a lot, just a little, enough to, make me uncomfortable. About 10 pounds. Found out later on I'm hypothyroid, so that was part of the reason, but that's not the only reason. And that's when 21 Day Fix came out, and they came with these color-coded containers. So that kind of piqued my interest a little bit, so I researched it. Because it would take me, I'm like, if all I had to do was worry about these little color-coded containers, which are basically, these containers are basically your macros. And when you figure out your calorie range, they tell you how many macros you get per day, and you figure it's just so much easier. So I decided to get these to test them out to see how they actually worked, and I fell in love with these. And I have been using these for 3 years. This helps keep me portioned. I make tons of recipes with them, and I get a wide variety of food. I'm from Buffalo, and if you know anything about Buffalo food, we have amazing pizza, we have amazing wings, and we have beef on wick. And let me tell you, I don't give up any of that, but I do portion it out. So I don't give up all the food that I love. Actually, I haven't given up any of the food that I loved, but I do portion my stuff out using these, so I know that I'm not going to go over my macronutrients. Now that I'm down to the weight that I want it to be and I've maintained, believe it or not, I have about 2,200 calories a day. That's a lot of food. 1,700 calories is a lot of food. And I know in this crazy world, when you read, you have to cut calories, you have to cut calories, you have to cut calories. But here's what happens when you keep cutting calories and you're trying to cut. You are not going to get where you want to be. You're going to start losing muscle mass that you are trying to gain, which is what gives you that toned look that everybody's striving for. And your metabolism starts to slow down because you're not giving it enough to feed it. So it's, and I know I've fallen into that trap too. I know I've fallen into that trap too. I know how it goes. Until I started this new program with the Time Nutrition, still 2,000 calories a day, 2,200 calories a day. And I've gotten the best results I have ever gotten in a very long time because I stopped cutting back calories. I was getting to the point where I was eating only 1,200 calories a day. I was miserable. Who wants to be miserable? So these things have been a lifesaver to me, and keeping in mind that you don't always need to restrict your calories to get your health and fitness goals. And if you have any questions about it, you can always reach out to me. There's a form at the bottom of this blog, and we can discuss and talk. And I'll talk to you later.